Well, I'm back in the garage working on the Hurst stalls, and unfortunately I am in the garage. You know, the calendar said it's May 15th, and judging by the weather outside, you think it's March 15th. It's 47 degrees, raining and cold and windy. So I'm kind of pissed off about that, and it's really difficult to get motivated. Anyways, I'm working on replacing the power window motor on the passenger door of this car because in my previous video I mentioned that first time I pulled the car out this year, I went to put the windows down and the damn window quit going up and down, and the motor itself didn't go bad. What went bad was the gears inside the motor went bad. So I'll show you exactly what that sounds like here in a second. And Briggs Power also asked on my previous video how to adjust these windows because they do come loose over time. I'm talking about side to side movement. And what you need to do, well, actually what happens over time is this outer weather seal right here gets brittle and it breaks apart. And if this weather, yeah, you can see this one's starting to crack a little bit. If this weather seal is completely gone, that's a huge reason why your window is loose, because there's nothing holding the window tight. Also, there's on the door panel on the inside, there's also weather stripping on the inside. So if both of those are gone, or even one of them are gone, that window is going to be loose. Another thing is these felt pads on these brackets help keep the window tight when it goes up and down in the door frame. And you can see this adjustment right here. You just loosen this bolt and push the bracket up against the window to adjust it tight. And same with here as well on the back side. There's slight adjustments on both bolts. These felt pads wear out. These actually look to be in good shape for how old this car is. So if the weather stripping is gone, if these felt pads are wore, you know, you need to replace that stuff. And also the adjustment is right there on the bolts, both sides. So that's how you adjust the windows on these cars, Briggs. So when it comes time to replace the window motor, GM doesn't like to give you access to the bolts. So the motor's right here, and I already unplugged it, and I got the new one right here. It's actually a used one, but I pulled it out of a mid-80s Monte Carlo. You can see the 3 bolts on the bracket. So what happens is these 2 of the bolts were covered up, and GM gives you access to one of them right there, and the other 2 you got to get out the old cutting wheel and cut the door frame apart to get access to them. And how do you know if you're cutting the right spot? Well, one thing GM does is they put a little center punch in the door frame to show you where the head of the bolt is. That's what it looks like right there. Center punch right in the center marks the center of the bolt. So you just either use a hole saw, which I don't have, or you just cut a square around it to get access to the bolt. So that's how you gain access. And I'm gonna show you exactly what happens to these power window motors when they go bad. You know, the motor itself can go bad, the brushes or the armature can go bad, but like I mentioned, the gearbox can also go bad. I'll show you, I'll demonstrate here on these 2 motors. This is another motor that I pulled out of one of my other 79 Hurst stalls. I don't have any videos of that car because I sold that car about 5 years ago. Kept this motor just for reference, and let me go ahead and plug it in. If I can get it plugged in here. There we go. Alright, this is what a bad motor sounds like. You can see if I can show the gears. There we go. Gears grinding. Let me reverse it. There you go. Spins about 1 full rotation, brings the window down about halfway, then it grinds. You go to put the window up and it grinds as well. So that's the bad motor. Let me plug it into the new motor. I'll show you what it's supposed to sound like. There, nice and smooth. So this motor is going to go in there, and I go ahead and yank the old motor out of here. One thing you need to keep in mind is this motor, these 3 bolts, is what holds this window up. So as soon as you loosen these 3 bolts and remove them, this glass will fall right down in the door. So you need to make sure that you prop this window up however you do it. You know, sticking a piece of wood in the track, or however you need to do it to hold this window up while you pull that motor out, and then slowly lower it, and then you can pull the motor, I believe, through the top here, through this top hole. So just be very careful when you remove or loosen these bolts. That window will come slamming down on the door, and it'll break on you if you're not holding it right. So that's how you go ahead and get access to these motors, and hope you learned a little bit here, and I'm going to get to work.